Hey guys! So earlier I asked on social media if you have any questions about EDS or chronic illness in general. And so now I'm going to answer those questions. Let's go. Okay, so someone asked, how did I find out I have EDS? So originally I found out from a friend of mine. She basically was like, hey, I think you have EDS. This was after being undiagnosed for a few years and still trying to figure out what was going on. And so when she mentioned EDS to me, we then started going down the path of finding a geneticist to diagnose it and getting into treatment and everything like that. So I was diagnosed by a geneticist, but it started with a friend of mine being like, hey, you should check out EDS. So someone asked, what is EDS? So EDS is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a group of inherited disorders that affect the body's collagen. There are multiple different types, and each type has different symptoms accompanied with it. I talked a little bit more about it in my video that I just posted, so go check out that. Why are zebras associated with EDS? This is actually a really good question, and it is because there's a saying, if you hear hoofbeats, think horse, not zebra. But that's not always the case. You shouldn't always think horse because zebras do exist. They may be rare, but they do exist. And so the zebra is associated with EDS because it's kind of hard to diagnose and it's not well known. And so a lot of people don't think of it when talking to a patient who has it. And so we are zebras because they exist even if they are rare, and we do need to think of them. What is one thing I love to do / resort to when you feel run down? I love listening to Taylor Swift. That might not be a surprise to most. I really love listening to Taylor Swift, and I love just dancing like no one's watching, because usually no one is, but I just love dancing and busting it out and just singing the words to all of the songs at the top of my lungs. I also really love writing. Writing is my outlet. I do have a blog, but I also just write for myself, and I write about what's going on in my day and things that I like that day and things I don't like that day, and so that really helps me. I also love reading, and I like watercolors. I also have a great support network of friends and family, and so if I'm feeling down, I know that I can always turn to one of them and talk to one of them about it. What are the side effects to EDS? And I think this means like, what are the symptoms that I get from EDS? So I get pretty severe chronic pain, hypermobility of my joints, and which causes dislocations and subluxations, fatigue, easy bruising, headaches. I talked a bit more about the symptoms that I experienced personally in my last video, so go and check that out for more information. Does anyone else in my family have EDS? No, no one else has it in my family, and it is an inherited disease. So either one of my parents could have been a carrier, or I could have had just a spontaneous genetic mutation which caused the EDS, but no one has it in my family. What did I feel when I got the diagnosis? So it sounds really weird, but I was really happy and hugely relieved and hopeful when I got the diagnosis, because when I got the diagnosis just a few months ago, I had been sick for about 3 years and undiagnosed that whole time. No one knew it was wrong, and therefore I was not getting the care that I needed, and I was not getting proper treatment, and I did not have a very good quality of life, and no one was able to help me, and I just did not know what was wrong. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what, and so people would constantly second guess me. Oh, are you faking? Are you just looking for attention? And I would second guess myself too, because all of these doctors were telling me that nothing was wrong. And I had never gone through something where a doctor couldn't tell me what was wrong and then just fix it. So it was a whole new experience to me, and it was very hard because I just wanted answers and I just wanted to be well. And without having a diagnosis, no one could help me. So when I got the diagnosis, I was very relieved and very hopeful, and I still am. How do I keep my spirits up so well? This kind of relates to what I do when I'm feeling down. I just really love life, and that may seem silly, especially right now when life is kind of shitty, but I just really love it, and it's hard to love sometimes, but it never fails. I also really love all of the people that I've surrounded myself with, and I think that that's really important. And I have just the most amazing people around me, my friends and my family, and I couldn't ask for anything better. I also really love helping people, and through the superhero project I have been able to help people, which has just given me so much too, and it is something that I will never take for granted, and it just makes me so happy. And the other thing is, my spirits aren't always up. I mean, there are times when I'm just cursing the world and wishing so hard for everything to be different and to be normal. But at the end of the day, this is my life and it's not going to change anytime soon. So I figure that I've just got to make the most out of it. And I can do that. I mean, I have my limitations, but I can still have a freaking wonderful life even within those limitations. Writing also really helps to just get it out on the page, get it out into the world, bring all the thoughts and the feelings into existence, write them into existence, and then just let them be. Sometimes you just have to be sad. Sometimes you just have to cry. And then you can be okay. When and how is it okay to ask about a person's disability? So this really does vary from person to person, and I can't speak for everyone with a disability, but so I'm just gonna speak for myself. So for me personally, I would much rather someone just ask me why I'm in a wheelchair or why I'm sick or what my illness is than making assumptions. And as long as people don't ask in an ableist, rude way, I don't mind. I will tell them, oh, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a genetic disease that affects my collagen. And I would just much rather someone just know that, and it's a great way to spread awareness than making assumptions. And so I can't speak for everyone, and it really does vary from person to person. Just don't pry and be okay with the answers that they give you. Not everyone is very open about it, and not everyone wants to talk about it, and that's okay. They don't have to. It is not your right to know everything about a person's life just because they're disabled. How do you not set mean people on fire with your mind? I do. Do you miss regular school? Yes and no. See, I think the only reason I miss regular school is my friends that I had in regular school, but I still see them and still have a relationship with them. And it's because I don't love school the way that I used to before I got sick, which sounds sad, but it's okay because it is what it is. Life changed. And I don't love it because part of the reason I loved school so much was because I was in sports and extracurriculars, and being in class for 6 hours a day didn't cause me so much pain that all I wanted to do when I got home was cry. What am I most grateful for? So I am grateful for a lot. I am grateful for my family, my friends, my mom, Taylor Swift. I am grateful that I have been able to turn a really hard thing into my life into something that can help me grow as a person and has given me a way to help others. And I am really grateful just for life. And I am so grateful that I have been able to find my voice through all this, and I have grown into myself a little bit, and I now look at life in a very different way than from before I got sick, and I'm very grateful for that. What is the hardest thing and how do I cope with that? I don't think that there is a one hardest thing in life with EDS and chronic illness in general, because sometimes things are harder than the others. Sometimes the pain is the hardest, and sometimes it is hardest feeling like I'm not getting everything out of life. And sometimes it's hardest to feel like a burden on my family and friends for things that I can't control. The physical pain is very hard for obvious reasons. I mean, it's really hard being in pain all the time. I don't remember what it's like to not be in pain. I don't know what life was like without pain. And that's hard. That's a hard thought to come to terms with. But that's my life, and I think that I've just learned to know this pain and know myself and know my body, and that helps a lot. It's also hard to feel like a burden on other people for your illness or your disability. It's also really hard living in a world that wasn't made for you. The world is an able-bodied person's world. So those are all the questions I got. Thank you so much for them, and thanks for watching this video. If you have any more questions that either I didn't answer or you didn't get to ask, you can always ask them in the comments and I'll reply with an answer, or on any of my social media.